My name's Alister Chapman, and in this video we're going to take a look behind the scenes of my short film, The Falcon. The Falcon was shot using the Sony PXW FS5 in Dubai. As you can see, the weather wasn't always actually quite what we expected. On the first day of the shoot it was actually very windy, and there was lots of blowing dust and sand in the air, but the camera is well designed and this didn't really seem to bother it. One of the really nice things about the FS5 is that it is very small, very compact and lightweight, and if you do strip it right down, the camera body is only 800 grams, and that means you can use it on lightweight gimbals and jibs and drones and things like that. By using a gimbal we were able to get some really nice shots for the film. The FS5 camera has a Super 35mm sensor, so that means it gives you that nice film-like shallow depth of field. The other nice thing about the camera is it uses Sony's E-mount, and you can adapt Sony's E-mount to take many different types of lenses. So as well as the Sony 18 to 105mm zoom lens that you can get as part of the kit with the FS5, we used a number of different Canon lenses as well as some Zeiss lenses as well. For some of the shots we used an adapter on the camera that allows you to use Canon lenses, but the adapter incorporates a tilt and shift function where you can have the background and foreground out of focus, but just have a narrow part of the center of the shot in focus. It's a really interesting effect. Another feature of the camera that we made a lot of use of is its S and Q, that slow and quick function. So we used it a lot to slow down the action. That enabled us to shoot some really quite amazing shots of the Falcon in flight, taking off and landing. As you can see in the behind the scenes footage, the bird is very fast. 1 minute it's on the actor's hand and the next minute it's flown away. But by shooting at 240 frames per second using S and Q, we were able to get these really beautiful flowing slow motion shots that I really like. As well as slowing things down with S and Q motion, you can also speed them up. So instead of shooting at a high speed, you shoot at a very low speed. And we made a lot of use of shooting S and Q motion at 1 frame per second to create a time-lapse effect. The other thing you can do in S and Q motion when you're shooting at just 1 frame per second is set the shutter speed to be 1 whole second. And that gives you those really blurred streaks of light from the car headlights and taillights, and that helps create a flowing atmosphere to the time-lapse footage. This shot of our actor walking down the street in Dubai was very challenging. The actor is in the shade, but meanwhile the buildings opposite are in brilliant bright sunlight. Now, one of the things that the FS5 has that can really help with challenging lighting situations like this is S-Log2 and S-Log3. And you can see here the difference between the S-Log2 footage that we shot and how it looks after it's been graded. If you don't want to use S-Log2 or S-Log3, if you want a simpler workflow, the camera also has 9 built-in picture profiles. And picture profiles 1 through 6 each have a very different look. It's simply a matter of pressing the picture profile button on the side of the camera and choosing the look that you prefer. I used Cine Gamma number 3 and the Pro color matrix. I found these gave a very pleasing image with very minimal adjustment in post-production. Another very useful feature of the PXW FS5 that I made a lot of use of in this film is the variable ND filter. The variable ND filter allows you to very finely control your exposure by adjusting how dark the ND filter is. That means I could set the aperture wide open on my lens to get that very shallow depth of field, and then fine-tune the exposure very precisely using the ND filter. The PXW FS5 really is a nice little camera. It has Sony's XAVC-L or the AVC HD codec. It can shoot at up to 240 frames per second in HD, or up to 30 frames per second in ultra high definition, that's UHD. Do you really need DCI, that's 4096 by 2160? Well, for most productions, for television, Ultra HD, UHD is all you'll ever need. 3840 by 2160 is the standard used for 4K television. As well as shooting with very shallow depth of field using the full Super 35mm sensor, the camera has a center scan mode, and that allows you to use Super 16mm lenses and even 2/3 inch ENG style lenses, giving you a much deeper depth of field, making focus easier, but this is limited to HD shooting only. If you're using Sony's lenses, then you have autofocus. You have auto exposure with the majority of lenses, and a really clever trick that the camera can do is something called clear image zoom, and this gives you an additional 2x electronic zoom in HD or a 1.5x electronic zoom in UHD. The camera uses very low cost media, SDXC cards, and these are readily available in most electronic stores. You also have Wi-Fi and LAN connections, local area network connections, on the camera, and the camera can record a low resolution proxy file alongside your HD or 4K recording. You can then stream that proxy file live or use FTP to upload it to a remote server via the Wi-Fi or LAN. If you have an iOS or Android device, you can also remotely control the camera via a free application called Content Browser Mobile. So there you have it, the PXW FS5 behind the scenes in shooting the Falcon. I really like this camera. I think we got some really great images with it.